Yes. Good morning, everybody. Looks like we are underway. Let's see if I can get everything up and running here. Come on. Let's get it going. Come on, come on. Where's my mouse? Have you ever lose your mouse on the screen? Oh boy, here we go. Pixel chatter number. What number are we up to? We are up to number something. 65. Yeah. How good's that? How's everyone doing? Hope you're doing well. Just bringing it up on my phone so I can monitor the chat box. Let's see. Number 65. Let's load it up. Oh, turn the volume down so I don't have to listen to myself. G'day, g'day, g'day. Who have we got here today? Who have we got joining us? Let's have a look. Let's have a look at who we've got joining us for today's live stream. Let's have a look. Okay. Brian, good morning, buddy. Aussie Paul, g'day. John Sanders, hello. Susan Menace, Amanda Keys. Izzy, hey, happy birthday, Izzy. Izzy's birthday today. Everyone give him a great big happy birthday in the comments. Izzy's birthday today. I won't sing, but happy birthday. Greg West, g'day. Tim McCuster. Evening where you are, of course, over in sunny Florida. You're getting warmer there. It's getting cold here. Getting warm there. G'day, Tim. You get a special PC? Yes. G'day, Gianni. Greg, who is Photography Australis. Photographia Australis. Tim Trim. Looking Lithy. Lithe. Looking Lithy. Not sure what that means. I didn't make it past my school certificate in school, so not completely literate. Ben the Slim. Thanks, guys. Yes, I'm down 22 kilos. Can you believe that? 22 kilos. Pretty happy with that, to be honest with you. Years and years and years of being overweight, and I think I finally found the secret to getting rid of it really easily. So, really grateful for the program, the coach that I'm on and the program I'm on. I've also got a few friends that have jumped on it as well. So that was pretty exciting. So a few people watched me lose weight and went, how'd you do this? And now they're doing it as well. Steve's Ray of Sunshine from Townsville. How you going? Good to see you. All right. So let's get stuck straight into things. Thanks. I always like to start by thanking the patrons and the VIPs. So the VIP group are a group of people that support the On Three Legs world, if you like. And they do that in a few different ways, through being part of the Patreon, where they make a monthly pledge of as little as $2 a month. They support it by coming to workshops that I run infrequently, and they support it by being in the group and supporting each other. And I think that's the biggest support of the VIP group. So thanks so much to the patrons for hanging around with me in that group. It's a great group of people. Love what we're doing. And I'm really excited to continue to grow that group throughout the rest of this year. Been a little bit inactive on YouTube over the last month or so, maybe 2 months now. And no excuses, just been slack. Haven't had the mojo to edit the videos. I've got a few recorded. And they're going to be from Fat Ben because they were all recorded before I lost the weight. So it's going to be interesting as I do new videos. People will see the difference and think maybe it's twin brothers or something. One fat one and one slim one. Who knows? Anyway, we'll make it happen. Who else we got chiming in here? Aussie Paul, Ben the Slim. Yes, thank you. You want my diet secrets, says Greg. Well, they're not really secret. That's the good news. If you do want to learn more, I can introduce you to my coach and happy to help you to get the same sort of results. Just send me a private message and I will hook you up. And what I promise you is if you decide to get into the coaching, and it's not expensive and it's easy, which is great, I will help you. I will join your team. It's all done online with a group online. I will join your team and help encourage you to do the same thing because it was pretty easy. Just had to get the habits. Slender. Is that what that means, is it? Slender. Thanks, Tim. Sorry, I'm not very well educated. I know that may surprise you, but I'm not a very well educated guy. So if people use complex words, then I'm in trouble. G'day, Big Oz. How are ya? Stevie's Ray of Sunshine from Townsville. How's Townsville looking? You'll be enjoying this weather now. It's cooling down. Chance, g'day, buddy. 22 kilos is awesome amount. Thank you. I've got another 15 to go before I reach my ultimate goal. G'day, Philip. Thanks, buddy. Anthony Younghusband. Hello, mate. Welcome. Is that a new octopi? Yes, it is. It is new octopies. Look. This is Occy 2.0. After I very, very negligently left Occy 1.0, I think, on the beach at Salamander Bay in Nelson Bay. Apologies to Dave Fewtrell because he gifted that to me and I felt really bad. And Andrew Dawes actually went back to try and find it for me and he couldn't find it. So there you go. You'll notice also in the VIP group I've invited some other YouTubers in. I think Colin's already joined. But I thought, why not make that VIP group? I know a lot of you enjoy Andrew Mars and Andrew Dawes stuff. So I'll be inviting them in, getting them in the group as well. So we can just have a huge community. Why not, eh? Enjoying my cup of coffee. My cup of joe, I think they call it in the States. All right. So interesting. You know, I was away, I think, when did we do a live? We did a live 2 weeks ago. So, yeah, I come back from Tassie, had a great time there. I haven't even had time to edit all my photos up because I've been really focusing on a couple of other things with my business. Real critical time for that with some new franchisees. And, of course, photography is my passion and love and very, very big part of my life, but it's not my full-time gig. I wish it could be. I'd love it. If I could have 1 million patrons, then I wouldn't even need that many, actually. And I could do this full-time. That'd be great. Anyway, so I ran a Vivid workshop the other night. And the VIPs would have definitely seen some of the photos from that. Let me just jump into the VIP group and bring up some of the photos that we saw people upload. If you haven't been to Vivid Sydney, then it's a great opportunity for you to come along. I'll just share my screen. Let's switch that over. Here we go. So a few people came along and have in the VIP group and uploaded some images. So this one's from Nuns. He took some great shots. This is a series from Nuns, and you can see Vivid has got some pretty cool stuff going on. And you know, it's tricky to shoot. It is really tricky to shoot, and even people that have been shooting for a long time get a fair bit out of the workshop because they learn a bit about. Oh, that's my favourite, I think. They learn a bit about how to set their camera up. Nola got some great shots. We were really fortunate. If you look over here on the left, there's some fireworks going off. We were really fortunate that they went off during the time we were up on the overpass at Circular Quay there, and I had to quickly run up and down the group and get them to set their cameras up slightly different. But you can just see some great stuff going on there. Here's another one from Nuns. He's got the boat with Vivid on the side of it. Top shot. Greg West. So Greg actually did this as a pano. He was taking several shots, which is a tricky thing to do because these lights all move. So he's done really well. I watched him taking several shots. I said, "Are you doing a pano, mate?" He said, "Yep." So well done, Greg. Michelle had a brand new Sony camera. But as you can see, some beautiful shots. I'm really impressed with the Sony cameras. I'm actually tempted because they're just lighter. There was Nick, he may be viewing this, I'm not sure, but Nick was down in, and this one's Amanda Keys. Amanda was on the Tassie workshop, and Amanda flew down from Brisbane to come and spend the night with me at Vivid, so thanks, Amanda. But Nick was, as I was mentioning, he was with me in Tassie on the Tassie tour, and great shots, Amanda, on the Tassie tour, and he had a Sony A7R III, I think it was, and it was really, really good. So there you go, just some shots for you to take a look at. But it was really great night. And if you're going to go in there, all my workshops are full now for this year, unless I put another one on, but I don't think I will. And I've got a couple of people asking me to do some one-on-one tuition, so I might do that. We'll see. But it was great. If you do go in, my tip is go in on a weeknight, and if it's cold and windy, don't worry, because that slows the crowds down. Not as many people in there. And if it's raining, be okay with that as well. Just gear up, because you get nice reflections. And next Wednesday, or this coming Wednesday, is State of Origin. And State of Origin night's always quiet in Vivid. So good opportunity if you're in Sydney and you're not into footy. So I'm not into footy. And that's the time that I typically go. Alrighty. Let's have a look here. How's Vivid this year, Ben? Yeah, there you go. There's your update for you, Greg. Missed it last year, but hoping to get there this year. Cool. Nice images. Bite your tongue, Ben. Sony. I know. Here's the thing. I'm not brand agnostic. Maybe I would be if a manufacturer threw cameras at me and said, just shoot with this, because I love Nikon. I love Fuji. Haven't had a lot to do with Canon. Haven't had a lot to do with Sony. But if there was any brands out there that threw something at me and said, use this for free, which doesn't really happen to many YouTubers anymore. It used to happen, but there's too many of us. They go broke, I think. They'll lend us gear, but they won't give it to us. So, yeah, if somebody was willing to, I'd do it. But, yeah, I think the difference for me, mate, is that I'm always nervous checking in at the airport with the Nikon gear. And I feel sorry for wildlife photographers, because as a landscape photographer, I don't carry a lot of gear. I have my wide angle, and I have my macro, and they're typically like a 24-70 or something like that, and that's it. I don't have any huge lenses like the wildlife guys do. So, but I'm always nervous. Because I hear people getting pinged all the time. Although Virgin seemed pretty good. I haven't had any problems with Virgin. The one time I did get questioned about it, and I showed her what was in the bag and how I had made an attempt to take everything out except for the fragiles. They were pretty happy. So there you go. Alrighty. S1H, Aussie Paul. Yeah, you're into the Lumix, the Panasonic. Yeah, I'm not into video, so for me, the video aspect's not as important. But I posted something up. I don't know. Did I post it on my Facebook page or in the group? I can't remember anyway. Panasonic have released the new Lumix thing that does 6K video. I'm thinking, how are we ever going to watch 6K? I don't watch 4K. So incredible what's going on. All right, so on the note of workshops, my next workshop that I'm planning, because I've had a few people ask me, is my macro workshop. So if you want to learn a bit of macro, I will be running a macro workshop in the next couple of weeks. My plan is to do it in the Blue Mountains area, which at a place called Mount Tomah, the Botanical Gardens. So I'm going to take a drive up there tomorrow, hopefully, and take a look up there. And so I haven't been there for a couple of years, but it's a beautiful spot. So if you're interested in that, it'll be a half-day workshop, and it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be limited numbers, like all the workshops. All right, so let's jump straight into challenges. Let's go to challenges. Let's do that. So last challenge winner was Michael Healy, and Michael Healy picked cliffs as a theme, which I think threw a few people off the cliff. Pardon the pun. So we didn't get many entries. So I think people were a little bit, restricted as to whether not everyone has cliffs near them. Some people had weather that just didn't allow them to go outside. So I'm just going to go to share my screen. Here we go. But it's always good to be challenged. So this cover photo, by the way, is one that I took up at the Blue Mountains I think it's called the Walls of Jerusalem. About a half-hour walk from where you park the car. Not very steep, very easy to get to. Beautiful spot. All right. So these were the entries for cliffs. So Tim Trim, standing on the edge of the 125mm drop of Din Din, looking down Barron Gorge towards Cairns. Definitely some cliffs there. Another one from Tim. A lack of transport mode made this challenge a challenge. Luckily, I had to attend a conference in Brisbane. This was taken at Kangaroo Point Cliffs. I love that photo. So very cleverly done, mate, with the the slower shutter speed to get the leg movement. Very cleverly done. Nice shot. Ren Thielen, mini cliff found in his backyard. Love that one. A mini cliff. And it could have been your friend cliff. Like, there's no rules around what type of cliff. So there you go. Dennis Stewell, not many cliffs in Alabama. Most are covered by vegetation this time of year. So this is Little River Canyon in Fort Payne. Awesome. I love the international aspect of this group. Perfect. Steve Algie at the Cliff, Newcastle Beach. So I love the little danger sign here that's just sort of sitting on the ground in the foreground. Right near the edge of the cliff. A little danger rope or tape. Very cool. Alrighty, so that was it for the entry. So the boss has picked 2 winners. First of all, the runner-up is this one here. Tim Trim, well done. You got the honourable mention. And the winner of this week's challenge is Steve Algie. So Steve, you get to pick the next one. So we're just going to put that here. Congrats, Steve, on winning this week's challenge. I'll just type it as I'm doing it here. This challenge. He'll get notified. This challenge. Perfect. So he gets to pick the next one. And then everyone gets to participate in whatever he picks as the theme. There we go. Just changing back over to my camera. All right. So well done, guys. Thanks for everyone for entering. I know it was a bit of a tricky one that was picked by Michael. But at least everyone got to have a bit of a play and had a go, which is good. It's always good to try something different and challenge yourself. That's what the challenges are all about. Now, the other thing that I did was I put a relatively challenging editing challenge up, and I did it a bit late in the piece. Thank you to Brian once again for reminding me. And this time I put something up really simple, and I'll just share my screen because I thought it will challenge people to come up with how they'll edit something. So here we go. Here's a fungi that I took in Cradle Mountain National Park. Not a lot you could do with it unless you got really creative. So let's have a look. So this one here, edited and captured one by Tim Trim. As you can see, he's got creative with it. A whole bunch of stuff that he's done. Looks great. I like it. Ren Thielen, a bit of Topaz Studio magic going on. Get some colours into it. I love it. Great stuff. Perfect. Matt's nice. So sort of darken the edges. That's similar to what I ended up doing to it. Nice one, Matt's. Love it. Greg West. So something different. He added a foreground from one of his macros. I love the way Greg does this. He's put skies into stuff and foregrounds. Beautiful, Greg. He said to me the other night, he said, I can't really replace the sky. I said, why not? Do whatever you like. There's no rules with this challenge. It's just about playing with it. So I actually think that's really cool. Hard to know. And everyone likes to see the ones that I've done. So let me just jump over because I just shared this on my Facebook page. Come on, Facebook. Load up. Here we go. There it is there. So that was my final edit of it. So I cropped it in. And as you can see, slightly different. Just got the detail in. And you'll notice that I removed that distracting bit at the top that was up there. So, yeah, we all do something different, don't we, when we edit a photo? And that's the fun part about an editing challenge. We all get to see how everybody else edits things up. So it was good to see how everyone reacted with something so simple. And I love the fact that Greg goes, out of the box and puts foreground in or background. And I think it's just good. It's good to have a play around with other people's images sometimes as well to see. All right. So great work there. Okay. Just getting back into where I need to be. Okay. Let's check the chat box. Who's joined us? What's going on? What's going on in the chat box? Yeah, well done all. Great work. Was tricky. Congrats to all. Yeah. Good stuff. How's Shark Teeth going, Brian? Oh, Anthony. Shark Teeth. We're not in on that one. We don't know what that's about, but anyway. Oh, something funny happened with my phone. It's twisted things the wrong way. Why did that happen? Always when you're live, funny things happen. My phone has twisted things. There we go. That's better. Isn't that the way? Isn't it the way? Alrighty, let's hook into the image critiquing then. So congratulations to the challenge winners, by the way. We'll get Steve Algie can announce the next challenge. And what's going on there? Something happened. Are we still live? Yeah, we're still going. Okay, something weird just happened. That's right. So Steve Algie will announce the next challenge. I'll make sure he does that the next couple of days, and we'll get the next challenge up for you. Anthony, have you still got a discount code for Aurora HDR? I'm going to purchase Luminar. I don't think so. After I tested it and... did I still have one? I'll have to look for you, buddy. Maybe send me an email and I'll see what I can do for you. And see if I can help you out. But I did the review. They sent me the software. I played with it, but I haven't kept going. So, yeah, things changed there. Okay, so we're going to jump into Lightroom. I've got a couple of beautiful images sent in this week. Here we go. I'm going to share my screen. Oh, by the way, if you're not following me on social media, easy to do. There's my handles there. Come along and join me. Follow me. And I'll share stuff there. There you go. All right, so this week we've got a couple of images to critique, something different. We've got a macro shot, which is great to see. People having a bit of a play with that. We've got two shots here. One is from Laurel Box. So thank you, Laurel, which is the macro shot. And then on the left here, we have one from Greg West. It's like a beautiful sunset or sunrise. And we'll check that out. Let me get out of my keyword list so I can see the EXIF information. There we go. All right, Taylor's Beach Sunset. There you go. That helps us understand what that is. And then this one here was from Laurel. It's called Red Magic on some fungi in the Dandenongs. All right, so let's start with Greg's and take a look at this image here. As I said, this was Taylor's Beach Sunset. Looks like a beautiful spot, and I love jetties. And this is where, quite often you don't want to go symmetrical, but when you're shooting something like a jetty like this, you can get away with it without any trouble. So anyway, let's talk about the technical details, then we'll have a look at composition, and then we'll have a look at post-processing. So technically, Greg has shot this. Where's the metadata? Why don't I have any metadata? I don't have metadata. Let me just have a quick look in my inbox. So I'll just come back to me for a second. I'm going to have a quick look in my inbox to see if I have the metadata for that. No EXIF information. Okay, that's all right. I do not have EXIF information, which means I can't look at the technical details. But that's okay. So yeah, just make sure when you send these through, guys, that you send me some EXIF information if possible, so I can look at it. But technically, it looks pretty good to me. I can tell the shutter speed was not super quick, and I can tell that by the water. Zoom in. But it was relatively quick, yeah. So I don't know what the EXIF information doesn't look like as much noise in it. So a lower ISO is good, and then the depth of field is really good. So I'm going to guess that the aperture is going to be somewhere in the middle. How's that grab you? So that's, from a technical aspect, that's there's not much feedback I can give you without the EXIF information. From a composition point of view, let's jump into the develop module, and I'll just get rid of this little box on the left, the menu, pop that away so we get a nice big screen. From a composition point of view, I like it. I like the symmetry of a jetty straight down the line when you're shooting a jetty. I think it works well. So never be afraid to put it in the middle. If we put the rule of thirds on here, you'll see that the intersections have got these corners of the jetty on it, nothing up here. There's nothing of great interest on the intersection, but when you do something symmetrical like this, you sort of get away with it. Okay, so that's, they say rules are meant to be broken. what you could do if you wanted to, just to give it something else more, what the eyes would expect from a rules point of view, is you could put the horizon on that top line like that. And it'll just change the way the image looks. But not 100% necessary, but that's probably how I would have cropped it. Just to bring that horizon up a little bit. The one thing that I rarely do is put the horizon directly in the middle or very close to the middle for that reason. Just from a composition point of view, sometimes it just doesn't work. But I think it's okay. But I definitely would have just cropped that down about there, something like that. Just make that in the middle there, like there. There we go, something like that. That would have been the first thing that I would have done. I think for me, it's a little dark, and if you have a look at the histogram, it is quite bunched up to the left. So don't be afraid just to bring that up a bit. Now, if your screen is a certain brightness, because that's the way you have it adjusted, that can affect the preview that you're seeing if it's not a calibrated monitor. But you can always rely on the histogram. Okay, so histogram always tells the tale. So if it's quite to the left like this, and you want to bring it up a little bit, just bring it up a little bit, move everything to the right a little bit. You can sort of do that and get away with it, and then drop the highlights back. Okay, and you'll see the difference that it'll do. What happens is you bring a bit more life to the image. If I just show you the before and after real quickly, that's all I've done, right? So I'll go into the light box. So if you look at before and then after, you can see the difference, how much of a difference that makes. Just that little bit of a change. So just watch your exposure when you're doing your post-processing. Okay. So that's before there, and that's after. Because it will just, it'll make a difference when you, especially when you print it, if it's a bit dark. But that's cool. Just lighten it up just that little bit, reduce the highlights. Now, if you want to bring the shadows up any more, then of course you've got your shadow slider there. The other thing now, you've got this new texture slider if you want to bring a bit more detail in. And with something like this, I'd be tempted probably to brush in some more detail later, but you could just give it a little bit of a hit. And then the other thing is contrast. So it's quite washed out. So I'm just going to bring the contrast up just a tad and the dehaze just a little bit. Bring the vibrance up just a tad and maybe just cool it down a little bit. There we go. All right, let's have a look at that now. Before and after. So all very subtle changes. But from a global point of view, I'm just trying to give the image that little bit of, oomph. Nice and sharp too. Love that detail. Okay. So don't be afraid to, with your post-processing to do whatever you want to do, to play around with it, to bring it to life, to give it a bit more color, oomph, or whatever. I do feel like that the foreground is a little dark still, just a tad. So I'm gonna bring up let me try that again. I'm gonna bring up a straight graduated filter from the bottom, like so. And I'm just going to bring up the shadows in that area slightly, just slightly. Not much, just slightly. There we go. And it just balances it out that little bit, I think. And we're pretty dark in the corners here as well. So I might just go to lens corrections and we'll just lighten them up just a bit, the corners. So getting some vignetting happening. You might have added that vignetting, I'm not sure, but I'm just going to lighten them up just a tad. Actually, what we'll do is we'll do effects. We'll do a post-crop vignette adjustments. Got to be really careful with this one because it does something different. It's not a lens correction, it's an effect. Okay, what else would we do? All right, let's now get the brush. Let's get the brush. Let's get some clarity going on the main hero of the shot, which is the jetty. Bang, 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 bang. Let's do that. Let's get some contrast on that. Let's get some temp dropped on that. Just a tad. It's a bit warm, but let's give it some... What should we do? Let's give it some struggling with what I'm going to do here. Let's give it some saturation. Let's colour it up a bit and see what happens when we do that. There we go. I don't mind that. Warm it back up a tad. Okay, so that's given our jetty a bit of oomph. Now let's do another brush. And this time I'm going to do a saturation across the horizon. Now I've got saturation up at 100% just so I can sort of see what colours I'm pulling out as I'm doing this. I'm unlikely to leave it there. Usually what I do is I'll do something like this, and then what I'll do is I'll just drop it back until I'm happy with it. Something like that. And I'm going to bring the highlights just back just a tad where I brushed just a little bit, because that'll just define the clouds a bit better. And then just warm it up a tad in the sky. Just a tad, because it is sunset. Oh, look at that. Alrighty, now what? What will we do now? I think that's pretty good, to be honest with you. I don't think I would do too much more with this. Just adjust the white, the blacks, just that final little bit. Just drop those back a bit. And let's have a look and just see what we ended up with here. So this was before, and this was after. Before and after. So you can just see it, just, you know, a little bit of a change. So before, you can see it was quite flat, a bit dull, a bit uneven throughout the image. And after, we sort of brought it to life. Now this is how I like to process something. Doesn't mean that it's right or wrong. Entirely up to you. We could even, if we wanted to bring those blues out in the sky, we could do that. But they're quite nice, aren't they? Let's do that. Let's jump up here, and we'll do another graduated filter. But let's do a range mask using color, and let's pick the blues. Let's just pick these blues. Let's find some blues to pick. Some blues. There's some blues. Let's pick the blues. And let's just, that'll just saturate those, see that? So we're just saturating the blues, and add in a bit more blue, maybe that's too much. There we go, something like that, there we go, look at that. How good's range masking? Gotta love it. Alright, yeah, I like that. Alright, let's do a before and after. Before and after. Before and then after. So you can see that, you know, with a little bit of tweaking and using a couple of the features in Lightroom, you can really bring them to life. And that range masking is such a good tool. I love using that on things like skies, because it allowed me to pick just the blues. So if I go back just to show you what the mask picked, let's just grab that mask. Which one was it? It's not this one, it's this one. Yeah. So you can see what the mask had selected in the blues. And you can sort of pick how well it did it, what the edges were like, just by sliding that amount over. But it did a pretty good job. I was pretty happy with it, actually, the way it blended it in. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. You can always pick a different color as well. You know, you can go, well, I want a really, you know, like a red sky. Maybe you want something that's got like a really red look to it. Or we can go, like I said, really dark blue, a lighter blue. Maybe you go with more of a aqua sort of color, turquoisey blue. Up to you. But I really encourage you to try it, and then, you know, once you pick a shade you like, this slider here lets you pick how dark or bright it is. So, you know, it's just such a good tool. And something that I see very few people using is some of these tools. So there you go. Hey, good shot, Greg. Really like it. You know what we could do? Let's do one more. Just you know, I like it like that, but let's just do another one so we can learn a bit more about how the range masking sort of works and what we can do with these graduated filters. Let's put another one on here, like so. Get rid of that saturation. We'll do another range mask. Let's do it on color. And let's just pick some of the colors in here. So I'm just holding down the shift key, by the way, and that brings up the plus key on my dropper. It lets me pick the colors that I want to affect. So that's what I've picked. I'm going to add a color in to the water that is similar to the sunset. Somewhere over here in the oranges. Not too saturated, somewhere about there maybe. What do you reckon? Just drop that back. Maybe no, we'll bring it back. We'll let the amount just changes how much bleed you have. So on and off lets you just see. So this little switch here. So that was before I did that change, and back on. So you just sort of put color and life into the bottom. I like that. All right, cool. So we'll leave that. That looks good. So let's do a before and after again. Before and after. Before and then after. Cracking shot. Cracking shot. And I know you've all come to expect this, but I am going to go pano. I think it'll make a great pano. Everything makes a great pano. Let's have a look at that. Look at that. I would hang that on my wall. Look at that. That's beautiful. What a top shot. Good job, Greg. Really like it. Hope you like the editing. But I'd be really pleased to hang that on my wall, that shot. I really, really like it. Good job. All right. What does everybody think? Is that a 10 out of 10 or what? Good shot, mate. Thanks for sending that in. And hopefully you didn't mind me doing my edits on it. But that's sort of what I would do. I'd have something like that just to really bring it to life. Don't be afraid to play with some of these things either. The good thing about Lightroom in particular, any software, but Lightroom is it's easy to undo stuff. If you make a mistake, it's easy to get rid of it. Unlike some software, it's harder, but in Lightroom, it's super, super simple to get rid of it. So, very cool. All right. Next one. So the next one, I'll just jump back into my library. It's funny, I was... one of the fungi that I wanted to get in Tassie was the one that looks like a mushroom. From Mario Brothers with the white dots on top, and I was going down a pretty muddy road on my way to Liffey Falls, and I saw some and I stopped, but I couldn't stop safely, and I was just around a bend and it was muddy and slippery, and I thought if I stop here and someone comes around the corner, I'm probably going to get hit. So I thought, well, someone told me there was plenty where I was going in the Tarkine, so I thought I won't stop and risk it. I'll just get to the Tarkine and I'll find some. Well, there was none in the Tarkine, so I was spewing that I didn't get them. Anyway, Laurel has got one here that's very similar in colour and that I'd love to have shot. So let's put that up. Colin, g'day mate, how are you? Greg West, nice edits, thank you. Anthony loves panos as well, yes. We're pano boys, aren't we? The pano boys, I love me panos. All right, let's flip over to my screen so we can have a look at what's going on. Here we go. All right. So here we have Laurel Box's macro shot, and really, really like it. Now I've chosen this because I know macro is a bit tricky, and I thought there's a few tips that I can hand out today with this macro shot, having shot a fair bit of macro myself. And also I've got the macro workshop that I'm about to announce. So if you're into macro and you want to learn more, I'm going to show you some tricks that you can do when you shoot that make it really easy to get a good shot, and make your life easier when you get back to your computer with your editing, so you don't have to worry too much about spending a huge amount of time editing. And the little tricks that I've learned from other amazing photographers when I've been out doing macro or watching YouTube, and then slowly put them into place and worked out what works really well. So this one was Laurel Box. Laurel says, "Hi Ben, this side on as close as I could get, taken on at Alinda in Dandenong's XT20 Zeiss 50mm macro f4 1/30 for second ISO 250. Would love your thoughts." All right. So when it comes to macro, typically you'll be shooting on a tripod. So you don't, you'll have a longer exposure time. Now here, I think this might have been handheld just because 1/30th of a second, ISO 250, I'm not sure. But typically I shoot on a tripod and I will shoot at the lowest ISO. The other thing is when you shoot at f4 or any low aperture, you're going to get a very shallow depth of field, which is what you have going on here. So if you have a look, there's not much in focus, okay, except just this little bit here at the front. Some of these gills are in focus, and that's sort of it. So the challenge with macro is depth of field, and the reason for that is you get close to things, and the closer you get, the more depth of field is affected. And then if you open your aperture up, because fungi is quite often in dark spots, so you go to a small f number, then you also reduce your depth of field. So you get this problem with everything being in focus. Now this can be quite arty, so there's nothing wrong with this. But for me, this is just a little bit too shallow. The other thing is you've got this distracting bit of, I don't know, leaf or branch on the right. We'll come back to that anyway. But yeah, so just with macro, really important, try and get your aperture up to a high number because it'll give you a better depth of field. And because they are so small, you've got to make sure you really pay attention to the focus. So typically what I say to people is focus on the leading edge. So see how it's out of focus? You've actually got the gills in focus. Focus on the leading edge and you'll you'll get a better shot. Okay. So technically otherwise it's fine. The composition works. Once again, if you look at the rule of thirds, you could probably just crop it in a little bit to get the fungi right in the right spot. But otherwise, it's great. It's fine. From a composition point of view, otherwise, you've just got to be careful with macro for distracting things. With macro, what you'll find is things that the naked eye doesn't see, you will see. Now, I'm going to jump into another collection quickly, which is a fungi shot that I took in Tasmania a few years ago. This is a really difficult fungi to find. There's not a lot around of this blue fungi, and to find it like in a duo like this was hard, so I was really excited. Now with the naked eye, these fungi, by the way, are tiny, really tiny. I can't even tell you how tiny they are, but they're tiny. And you can see as we look at them, they've got stuff on them, right? There's stuff on the log around them, so you can see these little white bits of stuff. Now they're very hard to see with the naked eye. My final photo, you'll see, looks like this. All of that stuff is gone. Now if you have a look at the before and then the after, I'll just put the before up and then the after. Okay, before and then the after. And you can see that I have removed a lot of stuff. Now most of this, by the way, has been removed in Photoshop, but a lot of it was removed when I was there using tweezers. So the stuff on the fungi here, I have removed using tweezers in most cases. Anything that's like on these logs and that, if I think it's going to be easy to clone out, then I'll remove it using Photoshop. But it really cleans it up. And the reason why I show you that is because a lot of people are afraid to get in there and clean things up. Don't be afraid to get in there with your tweezers or with your fingers. Another little trick I use is I'll jump back into the image critique. I will grab sometimes just a little twig and I will knock this stuff off. So see this stuff here? I would just get a little, like a branch or something. It could be a little, make a brush out of a little piece of something, a bit of grass, and just brush it off if it's, unless it's part of what you want on there. But things like this underneath the gills, this dark spot here, might be hard to remove. So sometimes it's best just to do this and just clone it out like so. And then you'll see the difference that makes. That black dot is gone. Now that could have been a dust spot, could have been something on the fungi, I'm not sure. But it just makes a big difference. things like this here, this little branch, I would have moved that out of the way and I would have pinned it back to something else. Quite often I'll have pegs with me if I'm out doing macro, and I'll just peg back things out of the way. Sometimes you can just push them behind other branches and that holds them out of the way. So there's all these little tricks that you can do. The other thing that I do is underneath, see how light it is on top and underneath doesn't have as much light, is I have a little 5-in-1 reflector which allows me to bounce light up underneath. Okay, so a little reflector to do that. If you don't have a reflector, just use a piece of paper or cardboard. Take a piece of A4 white paper. It does a great job. Fold it up, stick it in your pocket, and when you find some fungi, just hold it underneath and reflect some light up. And it just lights up in here because it's always dark under a fungi, unfortunately. So it's always a good idea to, bounce some light up from there. But when it comes to fungi photography, that's my tips, is to try and get light up underneath and just clean it all up. I'll show you actually. Let me go to where's my other photos? Let's go to my library. Let's go to Tassie, just my recent Tassie trip, and I'll just filter out. Let's go to camera info, and we'll pick my macro lens. Now, if you don't know that you can do this in Lightroom, it's a really cool thing. In fact, let's pick by keywords. I'm going to pick by fungi. There we go. Bang. So I had done these ones earlier. All right. So if you have a look at these two here, this is a good example actually. This one here and this one here, you can see the difference when there's light underneath. See the difference? Okay, that's just an example of no light and then using the reflector to get light in. And all I've done is bounce light in through there to get the light up underneath that fungi. Sometimes you can get natural light coming in. Let me find, I've just got so many things selected, it's not finding many photos. Let's just get rid of all these selections. Untick you. Oh gosh. Let's just clear the filters. Filters off. And I'm just going to go to the bottom here. So when I shoot, unless I've got light coming in, but even, let me find one. That was a good example. These are all my unprocessed ones, by the way, from my Tarkine trip. I've got to process all these photos. But I had one day where I had the most amazing light coming in on some fungi. Where is it? There we go. Now, in these instances, sometimes you can just rely on the natural light. See these? Now, these are raw files, totally unedited raw files. Check that out. Now, you can see, I'll go through the shots actually, because you might see as I identify these things on there and I move things around. So you might see between that one and that one, if you have a look closely, you can see the spider web across the two fungi here, that little web just there. And you look at the next one and you'll see it's slightly moved a little bit. That's because I've taken something like my finger and moved those out of the way. Now you'll also see underneath the fungi there's these bugs getting around. Okay, there's not a lot you can do about those. They live on there. I'm not going to disturb them. Let them just crawl around. I typically like to just Photoshop them out later. But that web, you can see I got rid of that web. Now the sun was shining in, providing beautiful light. But you can see I just keep taking shots, different apertures, trying different things, different compositions. Look at that light. You can see that bug here. He just keeps moving around. So my hope is that I can get some with him in different positions and maybe he'll disappear out of view. He seemed to like the camera. He wasn't camera shy. But all of a sudden he's gone. Look, no longer there. He's gone up inside the gills somewhere. So just patiently waiting and he's disappeared. None of them are there anymore. You can see the, those other distractions are gone, being the spider webs. The lighting is just beautiful. I love these. They're like parachutes. I mean, look at them. Can't wait to edit these up actually. But just it takes me sometimes to get the perfect shot. And you can see I just kept shooting and shooting and shooting these. Now just say, no, this is shot at f36 to get that depth of field. f36. So if I just go to 1:1, so you can see that is 1:1 f36, and you can see there's still something, a little bug or something on that one. But the depth of field is good, right? f36, f29, f20. I just try different apertures. That I've moved on to a different. I was actually trying to capture this little bugger. I had no idea what it was, and he was moving, and I was just. These were not shots for good macro shots. I just wanted to show a friend of mine. I said, "What is this little red creature?" It was tiny. I didn't even notice he was there until I tried to capture this fungi here. So if anyone knows what that is. Anyway, so, this is, when you're shooting fungi, it is just about being patient. And I have also got my reflector out, and I'm backlighting these because the light coming in from the other side is so bright. The good thing with these is I'm exposing for the fungi, and it looks like it's a flash or something. It's not. It's actually sunlight coming through, dappled sunlight coming through the trees. And then the background, you can see underexposes. So you end up with this really nice effect. So they're a good example of what can happen in macro photography. I'll give you some other examples where I've slowly cleaned something up. Things like these are actually very difficult to clean up. These look like mandarins. So these will get cleaned up in Photoshop later. So just different exposures. So you can see underexposing them brings the colours. So they're more colourful when they're underexposed. So just trying different shots, different compositions. And that's the trick with macro, is just don't be afraid to clean them up. I'll try and find another one of my shoots where I've cleaned stuff up. There you go. That's that one that we did in the challenge. Well, here's another one. This one I've actually used artificial lighting. So you can see, because they've got that translucent look. Look at that. Sometimes just adding some artificial lighting, you get some really cool effects. So I'm using an LED, handheld LED light to try and get that to look that way. So never be afraid with your, I'll just jump back in here, with your shots to, to play around a bit, move things around a bit. And with fungi, sometimes it's not like a landscape where you sort of rock up and you look at it with your eyes and you can sort of feel what it's going to be like. I find with fungi, because it is macro, sometimes you've got to take a shot first before you see the distractions and before you see another amazing composition or opportunity. So it can be about moving around and just trying different things until you find exactly what you want. So I really enjoy the macro photography aspect. Macro is good in Tassie because you can shoot all day. You can do sunrise, and even if it's raining and overcast, you can just go in the rainforest and shoot macro. That's a great place for it. So I'm going to go back to the Tarkine next year, and maybe we'll put a VIP trip on. How would that be? I don't know if anybody in the VIP group would want to come with me, but maybe we'll just put an exclusive little VIP trip on. Just get yourself there and cover yourself cost-wise and come and shoot macro for a few days in the Tarkine. Come and hang out with me. But I'll see. If you're interested, let me know, because maybe we could organise that. It was a lot of fun. All right. Well, that's pretty much it. We've done the two. Thanks, everyone, for sending in the images. If you do want to get your image critiqued on the Pixel Chatter show, the way to do that is down below in the description. If you want to become a VIP, which is a very important photographer, and join the VIP group, then also down in the description, you just become a Patreon and come and join us and hang out with us. Great group of people, lots of cool stuff going on. New challenge will be announced by Steve Algie. He needs to pick the next topic, so I'll shoot him a message very shortly, let him know that he won, and we'll change the group banner to his photo for the next couple of weeks. I think the next Pixel Chatter will be a month, and the reason, or 3 weeks maybe, because the long weekend is coming up. I'll actually be away over the long weekend. But my plan is to get a few more videos happening. So I know I've been a bit slack on the video front, but I'm going to get a few more videos happening. I've got some really exciting news as well about a new bit of equipment coming into the team. I've got a new team member. Let's put it that way. I've got a new team member. All right, let's have a look at the chat box. Sorry, I'm late. Colin, yeah, we got you there. And I said it's okay. Where I'm up to. Brian, better send some of your panos from the trip, Anthony, to see what he does to them. Yeah, cool. Did you guys go on a trip together, did you? Andy. G'day, Andy. Yo, says Andy. Hey, Andy. The Takina 100mm 2.8 is great lens for macro. Yeah, well, you know what, Greg? They Laowa just released a 2-to-1 magnifying one that I'm really keen to get my hands on, and I know the guy that brings them in and distributes them in Australia, so he'll be getting an email from me because I'd love to test it and review it and maybe play with it a fair bit on the old Nikon. Can you use off-camera flash for the extra light? Yes, you can. Have I got my setup here? Where is it? Let me show you. So I use a couple of different things. One of them is a bit difficult to show you because I'm using it for lighting here right now. They're the aperture lights. But you see this here? There we go. This is an SC29. It's an off-camera flash cable. And what I do is I put the flash on the end of this. Well, you know what? I'll do a video on it. How's that? To show everyone, because a lot of people are interested. And then I handhold this. This is the SP900. Now, I know, Brian, you just got a couple of these for a bargain price, didn't you, mate? So, typically what I do, because it's quite harsh flash, is I use this thing here. Now, this is a Gary Fong diffuser, light sphere diffuser. Okay, so really compact because it folds down flat. So that's it now out. And then what I do is I put the dome in like so. It sits in here, if I can get it in. I'll stand up so I can show you what I'm doing. Just putting this into here. So it just goes in there like that. And then that just sits on top of this. It's not easy to put on with the... Now I've put the dome on, so you get the picture. So it sits on top of that, and really, you know, it spreads the light out nicely and softens it. So that's a Gary Fong light diffuser. Now, funnily enough, I bought that back in the day of shooting weddings. But it is awesome. It is really good, and you can use it, you know, without the diffuser on. You can turn the diffuser in the other way, and it does, you know, just affects it in different ways. So the answer is, can you use off-camera flash? Yes, you can. And in fact, if I have a look at, I'll show you one that was done using that. Yeah. Come on, Ben, where is it? Where is it? Let's have a look. Here we go. I'll show you one that I did with this, using that setup just the other week. If I can find it. You'd think I'd find it? No. Not easy. Not going to be easy. I've got so many images. I can't even remember where I put it or what I called it because I was just playing around. So it's not properly catalogued in my images. What a bummer. But I find with fungi, natural light is the best. Yeah, I can't find the one I'm talking about, but it was the caterpillar. I think it's in the group somewhere, Brian, actually. The caterpillar was shot with that. But if you can get natural light, here's another great example of using natural light. Actually, I'll just share this one before we wrap it up. So this is another one where I've used natural light from the diffuser. The natural light's coming from the top. But you can see how light underneath the fungi is. So if I hadn't used the diffuser, all of this under here would be quite dark in the front of the fungi. And it just doesn't look as good. The detail doesn't pop as nicely. So I'm always a really big fan of using the light. Now that's a raw image, by the way. This one has not been edited yet. But it just shows you how the light is, you know, lighting is really important, even with fungi. Lighting is really important. You'll see here's another one. This one looks like I have actually used side lighting. See the bright lightness there? So I probably used an LED torch or something, because you can see it's quite dark in the background. So that's usually a telltale sign if I've done something like that. What's this one here? Another fungi. This one's sort of, I rarely shoot top down, but this one just had a really interesting top on it. Lots of good detail. But even then I would have used the diffuser, or reflector rather, to reflect light onto it. So don't be afraid to do that. Another one here, same thing. Would have used a reflector. You just, you know, it's just about finding your, you know, your sort of technique, I guess, or how you like to shoot fungi. Everyone shoots it a bit differently, so that just sort of gives you a bit of an idea. But I'll do a video on the off-camera flash. How's that? I'll commit to getting that done. Look, flash is really tricky. Yeah, that's right. You got 2 for $300. Like, what a bargain. I mean, these SB. This is an SB 900, right? And it's got an overheating problem. So wedding photographers and people who seriously use flash don't want them anymore. They go for the SB 910. But the 900, it's a great flash, and you can pick them up cheap because they overheat. But for someone like me or you shooting macro, you're not going to fire it off that many times in a row to bother you. You're just not going to. So you'll be fine. Alrighty. Don't drop the 100s. The 100S. Yeah, I can't wait to get my hands on one, mate. There is a video coming out of me dropping the 50S. It will come. I've just got to edit it up. I've got to stop being so lazy and just get it done. Well, it's not laziness. I've been really focused on other things. I had started a DIY project around the front door, painting that, 2 years ago, and I finished that. My workshop under the house needed to be finished. I'm working on that. And I've just been doing stuff that I have been putting off. So just getting stuff done. What have we got there? Let's just have a quick look at the last lot of comments. And finally, once again, happy birthday to Izzy. Enjoy your day, buddy. Hopefully get out there and take some photos. Do whatever it is that you enjoy today. Great tip, Reef. Fungi will pack the pegs and paper for future. Yeah, go for it. Tweezers as well. Get tweezers. The other thing is get yourself a drop sheet that's thin. And what I use is those $2 ponchos from the discount variety stores. They're great. Just put one of those out on the floor. And, you've got those. They're like a poncho. Or go to like a Bunnings and get their disposable paint drop sheets that are only a few bucks. And it means you can lie down on the ground without getting wet and cold, and it will keep the leeches off you, because quite often there's leeches where there's fungi. Fungi can also surprise you when doing long exposures. The colours are different to the eye. Yes, they are. Absolutely. Great show, Ben, as usual. Everyone have a cracking day. Thanks, Aussie Paul. Flash will also give you greater sensor saturation. Yeah. Godox 685 with trigger. Yeah. So I have thought about all different sorts of flash setups, but I just find that works really well. And you can just move it around. And if you want to play around with things lighting-wise, if you only have one flash, take 2 shots and merge them together later in Photoshop. Very easy to do because your tripod is locked off. Your camera's locked off. All right. Thanks so much. Now, if you are interested in the macro workshop that I'm going to be running in the next few weeks here in Sydney, in Sydney, please just send me a message as an expression of interest. I have a feeling it's going to sell out pretty quickly. I will open it up to VIPs first. So VIPs, you'll get the first notification in the group if you want to come and do a macro workshop with me. The other thing is I'm going to start. I love doing the workshops, and I haven't done enough of them this year. So I'm gonna start putting one on every month is my goal. So if you do want a particular type of workshop, maybe sunrise, sunset, just landscape photography, maybe the basics of photography, Lightroom, macro, astro, nighttime, whatever you want, just tell me what you want. And if I have enough people, I'll just put a workshop on. I don't mind if it's only 3 of us, or if I max them at 8, because with 8, any more than 8, it gets hard for me to give everyone the attention they need. But certainly I'm happy to do whatever anybody wants, because I just love teaching and love helping you get better photos. All right, you've been absolutely marvellous for tuning in this week. I've been Ben Fewtrell from On 3 Legs. Thanks for tuning in. You know what I'm going to say, don't you? Get out there and take some photos. See ya.